Have you ever felt like you're disappearing? Not dying, but fading, becoming less yourself every single day. You wake up and reach for your phone before your own thoughts. You check what everyone else is doing, thinking, saying, before you've even asked yourself what you want. You scroll through lives that look better than yours, opinions that sound smarter than yours, achievements that feel bigger than yours, and slowly, quietly, without even noticing, you start to become them. You start to want what they want, think what they think, fear what they fear, chase what they chase. You look in the mirror and wonder, when did I become this? When did my voice start sounding like an echo? When did my dreams start looking like someone else's Pinterest board? You feel the weight of invisible chains, the constant pressure to keep up, fit in, stay current, the exhausting performance of being the person everyone expects. And deep down, beneath all the noise and notifications and demands, a question whispers, is this really my life? Or am I just living out someone else's script? What if I told you that over 200 years ago, a German poet saw exactly what was happening to you right now? That he watched people losing themselves to the machinery of society, and he left behind 7 words that could set you free? This is about Friedrich Schiller, a philosopher, a revolutionary, a man who understood that the greatest prison is the one you don't even know you're in. And his message can wake you up. In 1795, while revolution swept through Europe and the old world crumbled, Friedrich Schiller wrote something that would echo across centuries. 7 words, simple, devastating, true. Live with your century, but do not be its creature. Read that again. Let it sink in. Live with your century, engage with your time, understand it, participate in it, but do not be its creature. Do not let it shape you. Do not let it think through you. Do not surrender the throne of your own mind to the demands of the age. At first, it might sound like he's telling you to rebel, to reject everything, to become some isolated hermit who sneers at the modern world from a mountain cave. But that's not what he meant at all. Schiller wasn't preaching escape. He was preaching something far more difficult, far more radical. He was teaching you how to be sovereign while standing in the middle of the storm. Because here's what he understood, what most people will never accept. Your century is not your enemy, but it will consume you if you let it. Not through force, not through violence, but through something far more subtle, through the slow, quiet erosion of everything that makes you, you. It will tell you what to think, what to want, what to value, what to fear. And if you're not careful, if you're not vigilant, you'll mistake its voice for your own. You'll look back one day and realize you've been living someone else's life, thinking someone else's thoughts, chasing someone else's dreams. And the person you were meant to be? That person died quietly, alone, unnoticed, while you were too busy performing for an audience that doesn't even know your name. That's what it means to be a creature of your century. And that's the trap Schiller is warning you about right now, across the vast distance of time, speaking directly to the part of you that already knows something is wrong. We've been sold a lie, a beautiful, seductive, poisonous lie that has infected every corner of modern existence. The lie is this: belonging is everything. Fitting in is survival. Being accepted is success. And so you spend your entire life molding yourself to match whatever shape the world demands. You edit your words, censor your thoughts, perform your identity, curate your image. You wear the right brands, use the right language, hold the right opinions, share the right posts, react with the right emoji. You've turned yourself into a product, optimized for likes, designed for approval, engineered for maximum compatibility with the algorithm of social acceptance. And you're exhausted, aren't you? Not physically tired, though you are that too, but tired in your soul, tired of the performance, tired of the pretending, Tired of saying things you don't believe and believing things you've never questioned? Tired of being less than you are so others can feel comfortable around you? Here's what Schiller understood. The crowd doesn't want your truth. It wants your compliance. It doesn't want you to think. It wants you to agree. It doesn't want you to choose. It wants you to follow. It doesn't want you to be. It wants you to belong. And the price of belonging is yourself, your original thoughts, your unpopular questions, your inconvenient truths, your refusal to pretend. Everything that makes you different, interesting, real. You must sacrifice it all at the altar of acceptance. This isn't conspiracy. This isn't paranoia. This is how social systems work. They require conformity to function. They need you to be predictable, manageable, moldable. And most people pay the price, not because they're weak, not because they're stupid, but because the alternative, standing alone, thinking for yourself, carrying the weight of your own choices, is terrifying. But here's what they don't tell you. The price of conformity is higher than the cost of freedom. You can lose yourself slowly and never even notice. You can wake up at 40, 50, 60 and realize you've never actually lived, that you spent your entire existence being who you thought you should be, and now it's too late to become who you are. That's not living. That's sleepwalking. That's being a creature. And Schiller is standing in front of you right now, grabbing you by the shoulders, looking you in the eyes and saying, wake up before it's too late. Wake up. Let me tell you what your life looks like right now. Not because I know you personally, but because this is what it looks like for almost everyone trapped in the machinery of modern existence. You wake up and immediately check your phone. Not because you want to, because you have to. Because what if you miss something? What if something happened? What if you're falling behind? The world pours in before you've had a single thought of your own. Opinions, news, drama, outrage, success stories, failure warnings. Everyone else's life, bright and loud and demanding your attention. You scroll, and with every scroll, you're told who to be, what to buy, what to believe, what to care about, what to fear. By the time you get out of bed, you've already lost yourself. You've already handed the controls of your mind to the algorithm, to the influencers, to the trending topics, to the crowd. You go to work. You do what you're supposed to do, not what you want to do, not what you chose, but what pays the bills, what looks good on paper, what your parents approved of, what society deems successful. You have conversations where you say things you don't mean. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You nod along with opinions you don't hold. You perform the role you've been assigned, and inside, beneath the mask, a part of you is screaming. Screaming for air, screaming for truth, screaming to be seen, to be heard, to be real for just one goddamn moment. But you silence it, because being real is dangerous. Being real means rejection. Being real means standing alone. And you've been taught your whole life that being alone is the worst thing that can happen to you. So you keep performing, keep pretending, keep disappearing. Maybe you post something online, something you actually think, something true, and within minutes, the responses come. Not curiosity, not dialogue, but judgment, mockery, outrage. Someone tells you why you're wrong, why you're problematic, why you should delete your opinion and replace it with theirs. And you learn that your voice is dangerous, that your thoughts are unwelcome, that the safest thing to do is say nothing original, nothing controversial, nothing real. You learn to be a creature. Here's what Schiller would tell you. This is not living. This is dying slowly while your heart still beats. Every time you trade your truth for acceptance, you lose a piece of yourself. Every time you silence your voice to keep the peace, you become a little less real. Every time you follow the crowd when your soul says, go the other way, You step further from the person you were meant to be. And one day, if you don't change course, you'll wake up and realize there's nothing left. Just a hollow shell where a human being used to be. Just echoes where a voice used to live. Just a creature where you used to stand. That's the danger Schiller saw. That's what he's warning you about. Not some abstract philosophical problem, but the actual daily erosion of your soul. So let me show you the way out. Not some easy fix, not some overnight transformation, but the actual path, the hard, necessary, liberating path. Step 1, see the chains. You cannot break free from what you don't admit exists. Right now, make a list. Not tomorrow, not when you have time. Now, write down every belief you hold, every opinion you express, every value you claim to have. Then next to each one, ask yourself one simple, brutal question. Is this really mine? Or did someone give it to me? Did you choose this political position because you examined the evidence and thought deeply about it? Or did you inherit it from your family, your friends, your social circle? Did you choose this career because it's what you're called to do? Or because it's what looks impressive, what pays well, what your parents wanted? Did you choose your values, what you consider important, worth fighting for, worth sacrificing for? Or did the world around you decide them and you just went along because it was easier than questioning? Be honest, ruthlessly honest. Because most of what you think is yours isn't yours at all. It's borrowed, copied, downloaded from the people around you who also borrowed it from the people around them. You've been living on autopilot, taking your cues from the crowd, thinking the thoughts you're supposed to think, wanting what you're supposed to want. This is not an insult. This is not judgment. This is just truth. And truth is the only place where freedom begins. Step 2, reclaim your mind. Once you see the chains, you can start removing them, one by one, link by link. This is the practice. Question everything. Not in the sense of rejecting everything, but in the sense of examining everything. Holding every belief up to the light and asking, is this true? Do I actually believe this? Or have I just never bothered to check? Start with the small things. Why do you dress the way you do? Why do you like what you like? Why do you spend your time the way you spend it? Dig deeper. Why do you believe what you believe about success, about happiness, about what makes a life worth living? Go deeper still. Who told you what a man should be? What a woman should be? What strength looks like? What love means? What you're allowed to want? And here's where it gets hard. You might discover that half of what you thought was you is actually just programming. Your taste in music, shaped by what was cool when you were 15, your political views, inherited from your environment, your fears, installed by media and culture, your dreams, borrowed from movies and Instagram, and the collective hallucination of what success is supposed to look like. This will be uncomfortable. This will feel like dying, because in a sense it is. The false self, the constructed self, the creature, has to die so the real you can emerge. But you cannot skip this step. You cannot become free while still carrying the chains. You have to question. You have to examine. You have to think for yourself. Step 3, build the inner fortress. Schiller said, live with your century, not against it, not apart from it, with it. You must be in the world. You must engage. You must understand the language, the systems, the currents of your time. But you must never let it colonize your inner world. Inside you, there must be a place that is untouchable, a place where the noise cannot reach, where the demands fall silent, where you can hear your own voice clear and true. This requires discipline, real discipline. Not the discipline of forcing yourself to do things you hate, but the discipline of protecting what matters most. Every day, every single day, you must withdraw. Not physically, but mentally. You must create space between you and the world. Turn off your phone, close the laptop, sit in silence, not scrolling, not consuming, not numbing, just sitting, just being. And in that silence, ask yourself, what do I actually think? What do I actually want? What do I actually value? Not what I'm supposed to think, not what will get likes, not what will avoid judgment, but what is true for me. This is not selfishness. This is not narcissism. This is survival. Because if you don't know who you are, you'll become whoever the world tells you to be. Step 4, choose consciously. Here's where it all comes together. Here's where you stop being a creature and start being a human. Every choice you make from this point forward must be deliberate, not automatic, not habitual, not because that's what everyone else is doing. Deliberate, chosen, yours. Before you speak, pause. Ask yourself, is this what I actually believe? Or am I just saying what's expected? Before you buy something, pause. Ask yourself, do I actually want this? Or am I trying to fill a hole that can't be filled with things? Before you spend your time, pause. Ask yourself, is this how I want to live? Or am I just killing time while time kills me? Before you follow the crowd, pause. Ask yourself, is this where I actually want to go? Or am I just afraid to walk alone? This is exhausting at first, because you've been on autopilot for so long that conscious choice feels like carrying stones uphill. But here's what happens. The more you choose, the stronger you become. The more you think for yourself, the clearer your voice becomes. The more you live deliberately, the more alive you feel. And slowly, not overnight, but gradually, you start to recognize yourself again. The real you. The one that's been buried under years of performance and pretending and people-pleasing. That person is still there, waiting, and every conscious choice you make brings you closer to them. Step 5, accept the cost. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you this is easy or comfortable or that everyone will understand. They won't. When you stop performing, people will be confused. When you stop agreeing with everything, people will be offended. When you stop following, people will try to pull you back in line because your freedom reminds them of their captivity. Your authenticity exposes their pretending. Your courage reveals their fear. Some people will fall away. Some friendships will end. Some doors will close. And that's okay, because the people who need you to stay small are not your people. The relationships built on your silence are not real relationships. The approval you get for being less than you are is not worth having. You will be misunderstood. You will be judged. You will be lonely at times. But here's what you gain: yourself, your integrity, your voice, your freedom, your soul. And that is worth everything. That is worth more than all the approval in the world. That is worth the discomfort, the uncertainty, the loneliness. Because at the end of your life, you will not wish you had fitted better. You will not wish you had been more liked. You will not wish you had kept quiet more often. You will only wish you had been braver, more honest, more yourself. Schiller is giving you permission to be that person, not someday, today. Friedrich Schiller was not just a poet. He was a philosopher of freedom. He understood something that most people never grasp. True freedom is not external, it's internal. You can live in the freest society on earth and still be enslaved. Enslaved by fear, by opinion, by the need for approval, by the invisible expectations that dictate every move you make. And you can live under tyranny and still be free. Free in your mind, free in your soul, free in the space where no one else can reach. This is what Schiller meant by not being a creature of your century. Your century has power over your circumstances, but it has no power over your inner world unless you grant it. The Stoics call this the inner citadel. the fortress of the mind that remains unconquered regardless of what happens outside. Schiller called it living with your century, but not being its creature. The words are different. The truth is the same. You are not what happens to you. You are not what others think of you. You are not the sum of your circumstances, your successes, your failures, your possessions. You are the space of awareness that watches all of it, the consciousness that chooses, the sovereign self that no external force can touch unless you open the door. And here's the paradox that will save your life. The moment you stop needing the world's approval, you become capable of actually contributing something valuable to it. Because you're no longer performing. You're no longer calculating. You're no longer trying to say what will be liked or shared or applauded. You're just being real, speaking truth, creating from a place of authenticity rather than strategy. And that authenticity, that's what the world is starving for. Not more polished performances, not more carefully curated opinions, but real human beings who dare to be themselves. So here we are, at the crossroads, at the moment of choice. You can close this video and go back to the scrolling, back to the performing, back to the comfortable prison where at least you're not alone in your captivity. Or you can choose differently. You can decide right here, right now, that your life belongs to you, that your mind is your own, that you will not spend the rest of your days being a creature. Here's what I want you to do. Before you sleep tonight, sit in silence for 5 minutes. Just 5. No phone, no music, no distractions. And ask yourself one question. Who am I when no one is watching? Not who you pretend to be, not who you think you should be, but who you actually are. Beneath the performance, beneath the mask, beneath all the layers of borrowed identity. You might not know the answer yet. That's okay. The question itself is the beginning. Tomorrow, before you reach for your phone, ask yourself, what do I actually want today? Not what everyone else wants, not what you're supposed to want, but what you, your real self, your sovereign self, actually wants. Then do one thing in alignment with that. One small thing. Maybe it's saying no to something you'd normally agree to. Maybe it's saying yes to something you'd normally avoid. Maybe it's just having one honest conversation instead of another polished performance. One thing. That's all. One conscious choice. And the next day, do it again. You're not trying to change everything at once. You're trying to prove to yourself that you can choose, that you have agency, that you are not a prisoner of circumstance or opinion or the relentless machinery of social pressure. Because here's the truth Schiller understood. Freedom is not a destination, it's a practice. Every moment you think for yourself, you become more free. Every time you choose consciously, you become more yourself. Every time you refuse to be molded by the crowd, you reclaim another piece of your soul. The world will not make this easy. It will pull at you, pressure you, try to reshape you back into something manageable. And you will fail sometimes. You will conform when you meant to resist. You will follow when you meant to lead. You will forget who you are and slip back into the comfortable numbness of being a creature. That's okay. That's human. That's the journey. What matters is that you keep returning, keep questioning, keep choosing, keep reclaiming yourself again and again for the rest of your life. Live with your century, but do not be its creature. Schiller wrote those words over 200 years ago. They've been waiting for you this whole time, not because you're special, but because every human being who hears them and understands them has the same choice to make, the same invitation to wake up, to think, to choose, to be. You are not your century's creature. You never have been. You've just forgotten. Now you remember. Now you know. Now you choose. Begin. Live with your century, but do not be its creature. Friedrich Schiller, your life is yours. Claim it. See you next time.